Hey, what is going on, guys? It's DK back at you in another video here to talk about a couple player props that I like for Thursday Night Football. We got my Detroit Lions going up against the Green Bay Packers. If this is your first time watching it, guys, cover content for player prop sites like PrizePicks and Underdog, Parlay Play. If you guys are not on Parlay Play, you can use the link down below for a $100 deposit match bonus. What I've noticed a lot on Parlay Play is usually they have lines a little bit higher than sites like PrizePicks and Underdog, so you can get some nice value and some unders on Parlay Play from what I've noticed over the last couple weeks playing there. But guys, if you're not on there, use that link down below, or you can use the code DKDFS for that $100 deposit match bonus. And if you're looking for more content, whether it be for player prop sites or for DFS, you can check out my Patreon link down below. Had a really solid night for Monday Night Football. Went 3-1 in PrizePicks props. Had a great night in DFS as well. Could have been a much bigger night too. Talked about this a couple times, but Tutu Atwell, them calling back that touchdown, I was like, are you serious right now? That did not make any sense. His toe was up. Like, it was, if anything, I was like, oh, if they called it out of bounds, I think they could have overturned it to a touchdown. But they called it a touchdown and overturned it to out of bounds. I was like, what is happening here? And that interception that clearly hit the ground, they're like, oh, that call stands. I'm like, am I going crazy? Godwin also got tackled at the 1. So, yeah, it could have been a much bigger night for DFS, but still great night overall. And let's see if we can keep it going for Thursday Night Football. But this slate in general, what I will say is there is just a lot of uncertainty with these injuries. So, for the Lions, you have David Montgomery back. I don't think he's going to be on any sort of a limit from what I've seen. But Watson and Aaron Jones are in, but they're going to be limited in some capacity. So here's the quote from Tom Pelissero. He said, Christian Watson and Aaron Jones, both of those questionable, are expected to play. The team will be cautious with the workload, particularly for Watson. So sounds like Watson's going to be on a more strict snap count than Aaron Jones. So that makes it tough because then it's like, all right, so if you're looking at other Packers, receiving props, like, all right, so it's like, what do you think Christian Watson, how much do you think he plays, right? For example, if you think he barely plays, then yeah, you can start looking to overs on guys, maybe like Reed or even Wicks or, Dobbs, whatever. But if you think Watson plays a lot, then maybe you take the unders on those guys. So it's a tough one because we don't know exactly how much some of these guys are going to play, but that's what makes it tricky, and that's why I said I would recommend playing a little bit lighter on a site like this for player props when there's just so much uncertainty. Now for DFS, and I already talked about this, it makes it great for tournaments, right? I embrace the variance, embrace the uncertainty. When I'm taking props and there's just like a lot of uncertainty on both sides, it makes it a bit trickier. All right, so let's talk about the first one that I do like, and we're going to be looking to Christian Watson in his fantasy score. We're going to take less than 8.5 fantasy score for Watson. Again, if you are confident he plays a somewhat normal workload, then do not take this. But everything that I've seen from the quotes from beat writers and from Tom Pelissero, it sounds like they're going to be very cautious with Christian Watson. So, like, I'm projecting him for maybe about a third of the game. That's what I'm thinking in his first game back. They're gonna take it easy. Hamstring is obviously an injury you don't want to push. So sounds like, or that's kind of what I'm going. That's what I'm under the assumption is. I think they're going to be pretty cautious with Christian Watson, and they're going to take it very easy on him. So I'm actually going to take less than 8.5 fantasy score here for Christian Watson and his props. So you can take a look. Let's go over to DraftKings Sportsbook. Let's take a look at his props. So we got Watson, 3.5 receptions, heavily, and I mean heavily juiced to the under, minus 175. So I think you could argue the fair prop line for his receptions could be 2.5. And then his receiving yards, Christian Watson, is like 36.5 with slight juice on the over. So you add those up, let's just say, all right, let's give him 40 yards, and let's give him 3 receptions. That would be, 7 fantasy score, right? And that's generous, right? I'm rounding up a little bit for receiving yards, and I don't even know if the 3 receptions would be his true line with how heavily that juice is on the under at 3.5. So, again, a lot of uncertainty with Christian Watson, but you can have some nice correlation, right? For example, like I said, if you're really confident that Watson's going to be pretty limited, like I think he's going to be pretty limited, then you can take unders in Watson and maybe overs in some of the other Packers receivers. If you think Watson is going to be playing a lot, normal workload, then you can take over on Watson and under on some of those other Packers receivers. I talked about that specifically for there's a few things, but like one example is for WNBA the other night. For the Dallas Wings, they have a center in Tier McCowan and a forward in Satu Sabale, where like there's a nice correlation where if McCowan, plays 30 plus minutes, she's usually dominating the glass, getting a lot of the rebounds, and then Satu Sabale is not really doing much on the boards. So you can take over on McCowan and under on Sabale if you think McCowan's going to play 30 plus minutes. But if you think McCowan gets in foul trouble or gets her minutes limited, then Sabale does much better on the glass, right? So you can find some nice correlations here when you are taking a lot of props on sites like PrizePicks and Underdog. But that was just one example that came to mind for me. So first pick, again, I'm going to take less than 8.5 fantasy score here for Christian Watson. I'm going to buy into what the Packers are saying, and they're going to be very cautious with him. So I'm thinking he plays about a third of the game, hoping he doesn't fall in the end zone. If he doesn't, I think we have a pretty good shot to hit this. And the second one we're going to look to is we're going to go to a guy that just had a big game in Sam Laporta. And I think this line is just a little bit too high. So we're going to take less than 11 fantasy score here for Sam Laporta as the second pick. We can take a look at Sam Laporta. And let's look at where his props are right now. So Juice is pretty heavily on his under 4.5. Where's Laporta? Those 4.5 receptions is actually minus 140. They don't have that up on PrizePicks. They do, however, have that up on Underdog. So if you're on Underdog, I like that under 4.5 receptions for Sam Laporta a good amount, right? That is not currently up right now unless they just added it for PrizePicks. It is not. So if you are an Underdog, I like that under quite a bit, 4.5. Again, it's just heavily on the under for Sam Laporta. And then his receiving yards, I believe, is like 40 or a little over 40. Where is it? Laporta, 42.5. So I think the true line for his receptions should be 4. Receiving line prop is 42. That's about a little over 8 fantasy score. So again, really hoping he just doesn't fall into the end zone. I think this line, if Laporta didn't have that huge game last week, I think this line would probably be 9.5, 10 fantasy score. But since he had that really big week last week, it's at 11. And looking at projection sites across the industry for DFS, they haven't projected for anywhere from 9.5 to 10.5. So we're going to take less than 11 fantasy score here for Sam Laporta. I know the gambling social media, gambling Twitter, no one likes taking unders. Everything you see on Twitter and YouTube, everyone just takes overs, right? And it's like, go watch any videos on Thursday Night Football. I can almost guarantee you most of them are going to be overs. But actually, a lot of the time, the unders are there's just a lot more ways that unders can hit, right? Game script, player gets injured, weird stuff happens, right? So, again, I recommend playing a bit lighter just because of injuries both sides. We don't know exactly how much some of these guys are going to play, but those are going to be the two picks for me for tonight. It's going to be Christian Watson, less than 8.5 fantasy score, and Sam Laporta, less than 11 fantasy score. Again, if you're on Underdog, his juice is heavily on the under there on Laporta. Let's see, do they have Watson, so they have him at 3 and 37.5. I probably wouldn't touch this. Maybe if they add his fantasy score on Underdog, keep an eye on that. I think I would look to taking the under there. But and also parlay play. I believe they have Laporta. Okay. So here's an example of what I say. They always have. It's always a little bit high on parlay play, just because, again, most of gambling social media, they don't like taking unders. But like Laporta, they have him at 46.5. On PrizePicks, they have him at, I think, 42.5, where the books have him at, or 44.5, a little bit higher. And then Underdog, they have him at what? 42.5, right? But parlay play, they have him at 46.5. And Amon-Ra St. Brown, right? They have him at 77.5. On PrizePicks, they have him at 72.5. Sportsbook line, I believe, is actually 70 and 71.5. So what I've noticed, again, is parlay play usually sets the lines a little bit higher than the books and the other sites like PrizePicks and Underdog. Just a general tip for you guys. All right, so thanks again for watching. If you guys are playing DFS, go check out my video. I already broke down the showdown slate where there's $1 million up top. But good luck tonight, guys. Enjoy the game, and we'll see you all in the next video.